First, as many of you know, the governor's proposed budget for the CSU came forward, and we were actually surprised. It was better than we expected, and I will share that we have also just finished a great week with advocacy on behalf of the CSU, speaking with our elected officials for increased funding. But I did want to just share with you, just so we have, again, a framework of our stance with this proposed budget. So we will still need to be frugal here at CSUB. We will be using our reserves to continue our operations, and we still are on a system-wide hiring freeze. However, we are pleased that we're receiving a new round of what I call CARES 2 funding. It has a new acronym, and Vice President Davis will share with you more about those details. But we've received an additional $22 million in one-time funding for the federal government. We'll hear more on these details, but for now, I want you to know that half of that money will go to students for additional financial aid support. And we will be hearing in the next weeks the recommendations that have been made by Dr. Cantrell and his team in financial services about those amounts that will be going to students, the timing of distribution of those funds, and as well the process, which will be going through Bank Mobile. So more on that, and I do want to let you know that on details for budget, do plan to be with us in March on the 15th. And again, that's when we come together to really look at the details at our budget forum. And I want to thank all those who are working on that. Again, March 15th at 11 a.m. for more details on budget. I want to also commend our new Chancellor, Chancellor Joseph Castro. I think he has had a remarkable start. He boldly announced, given the assumptions of the governor's proposed budget, that tuition increases for students in 21-22 are off the table. He also said that we would not be moving forward as a CSU with furloughs. And I know for all of us that lived through furloughs, we're very glad, because this is a real problem with regard to morale at universities. And you'll be hearing some additional updates today from Lori Blodorn and HR updates. So stay tuned today for a few more details related to those decisions by the Chancellor. I do want to let you know that vaccinations here in California and across the nation, it's been a very slow rollout. And here in Kern County, we are still in deep purple. And what that means is that we will have to be patient, but yet also proactive about what CSUB can do to make sure that they're contributing to a more efficient process of distributions to vaccines. And as you know, educators will be in the next round of vaccines after the 65-year-olds are vaccinated. I want to be optimistic that with Blue Shield, Blue Cross coming aboard, that there will be additional vaccines coming forward. I do want to let you know CSUB is applying for state certification to be a distribution site like 13 other CSUs in the system. But I will let you know this is no easy process, and it's no fast process. This does require extra extensive paperwork, extra insurance. We have training that's required, which will begin next week. And there's many, many things to consider with regard to logistics, like how will we handle the holding on for the second round of vaccines? How do we make appointments, et cetera? So stay tuned on details from Chief Williamson, who leads our team that is planning for both testing for those that are on campus and for those future vaccination opportunities. In the meantime, it is important to let CSUB family know we'll be putting up additional information on our COVID site about the options that you have with regard to vaccines, because it's important that you know you'll have multiple options and you'll need to really exercise good judgment on those options. I also want to very much thank Academic Affairs. As you know, we're planning for the fall, and we are, again, very respectful of the fact that it all has to begin with Academic Affairs. That means that the provost has been working with the faculty and thinking about the options that we will have available to us in trying to increase the number of face-to-face opportunities, hybrid opportunities for our students. And you'll be hearing more about this today and in the weeks to come as the schedule is put together. But again, really heroic work by the provost and by the Academic Affairs team. I also want to thank those behind Academic Affairs, the campus preparedness team. We are working on all of the logistics that have to go into that schedule. So the sanitation, the plexiglass, the use of technology, the use of our facilities. And again, there are a lot of details, and there are a lot of things that we'll be working on together as a family as we move forward to prepare for fall. But the idea is to, again, increase the number of opportunities for students to have face-to-face and hybrid classes here at CSUB. Now let's start with our presentations. We have about 15 folks that have important things to give you updates on, and we look forward to your questions as well. But by request, we have a number of you that wrote to our Chief Diversity Officer, Claudia Catota, with questions and interest in the strategic plan. So we've organized our presentation today by request around the strategic plan. So we're going to start with goal 1. And as you know, student success and wellness is a key CSUB priority. And so let's begin with Dr. Wallace and a number of his colleagues on goal 1 of our strategic plan. Thank you, Dr. Wallace. Take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Zelezny, and good morning to all of you. Dr. Jackie Kegley and I, as co-chairs for Goal 1, felt that it would be important for you to know all of the members that are a part of our team for Goal 1. And so you see now on the screen the list of the team. So please feel free at any point to reach out to any of us if you have ideas and suggestions as we move forward. And there is a reason why we have Goal 1 being that it is strengthen and inspire student success and lifelong learning. As you look at the goal that we have and the strategies that we have listed, we have divided these so that we can keep updated in each of these areas. So as you look at these, you will see assignments that have been made and then others that are also working in each of these areas. So it is something that is important to us. We continue to meet and to keep these updated. As part of what we're doing as we look at Goal 1, as you know, in a very short time period, all of us were pulled into the virtual world. And as a part of that, I challenged my team within Student Affairs to let's do programming that will benefit not only our students, faculty, and staff, but also the Bakersfield community. And I am proud to say that they accepted that challenge. And during the fall of 2020, we were able to have some 620 plus programs and reach as many as 39,424 participants. Again, I am very proud of the team in Student Affairs and the challenge that they accepted in providing quality programming for our Bakersfield community. I want you to hear this morning also from Dr. Ziggy Siegfried about athletics, so he will update you what's going on in the field of athletics, but also from Erica Delamar. Erica has been such a steady influence for us as we have worked with COVID-19. And so I want you to hear and get updates from her regarding what is happening in that area. Thank you, and Dr. Siegfried.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Wallace, and good morning to everybody. So in athletics, many of you have heard me talk about the 4 pillars for success that we focus on. So I'll start with the first one of promoting academic excellence. Our student athletes in the fall had a cumulative GPA among all of our student athletes of a 3.09. So that's the 12th consecutive term at a 3.0 or above. So we're really proud of that. Our term GPA was a 3.12. And then lastly, on promoting academic excellence, the NCAA has a progress rate called the Academic Progress Rate, APR, and it judges retention, eligibility, and graduation. And I can tell you we have the highest in our history. And it also is allowing us to qualify for the NCAA academic revenue distribution, which is really important for us. Pillar 2, providing an outstanding student athlete experience. As many of you know, COVID-19, just like for everyone, has been difficult for our student athletes. But what I've found is our student athletes, coaches, and staff have battled through the adversity. And it's been really inspiring to see how many leaders have emerged during this time. Our focus has been on communication, pretty much over communicating on what Dr. Wallace said with programming. And then also, the top priority of the health and safety of our student athletes. So what I will tell you is because of this focus and help from many, and you're about to hear from a key one with Erica, our safety protocols and our accountability measures that have been put in place have worked. And just 2 quick examples of that. Our men's basketball team has played more contests than anyone else in the Big West Conference. And our women's basketball team has played the 2nd most games out of anyone. And that's a direct result of those protocols and also accountability measures. Our 3rd pillar, pursuing competitive success. Men's basketball is currently in 3rd place, but still has a chance to win the entire conference. We beat the 1st place team on national television this past Saturday, which is UC Irvine. So I hope you all were able to watch that. Women's basketball is currently in 4th place and definitely looking to finish strong. So for the other sports, there's been very limited competition due to COVID, but we're definitely looking forward to more sports competing. And again, it's a reimagined type competition. And then finally, the 4th pillar we focus on is engaging the community. What's been great about, we haven't been able to have fans, we miss them, but all of our home contests are on ESPN3. We also created a virtual watch party for our students. So our students have always been able to watch home contest in person for free. And we wanted to make sure they still had that opportunity and didn't have to pay for an ESPN subscription. So working with our externals team and also Faust and his team, we created a virtual watch party for our students to watch. We had our first ever ESPN linear nationally televised game in the Accardo Center. So briefly, ESPN3 is a streaming service and it's great, but where you really want to be as much as possible is on linear TV with ESPN. So everyone in the nation can just turn on their TV and watch it. And so we had our first ever in Accardo Center. And in total, we've already played 4 nationally televised games on linear TV this year. And we have another one scheduled for next weekend. Lastly, we created a fan cutout initiative for baseball, and we've already sold more than 450 cutouts. And we expect to have Hartfield completely packed with cutouts of our fans. And this has been a great initiative to engage our baseball fans. So thank you. And I will turn it over to someone who's been fantastic for us and everyone, Erica Delamar.
Thanks, Dr. Ziggy. One of the things that we wanted to do in keeping with the strategic plan and talking about well-being is hit back at just some of the COVID reminders that we wanted to get out there. As the president mentioned, we are still in deep purple. There's a lot of things that we can do in terms of that. And so wanted to really touch bases, as Dr. Z said, the campus is doing everything we can do to keep the campus safe by making plans and doing other things. And so we need you as staff, faculty, and students to be a part of the team and do some things as well to keep the campus safe. So we created this last fall, and we're continuing but I pledge to be a responsible runner. And so we just, as reminders for spring, if you are coming to campus, that you do complete the pre-screening every time that you're coming to campus. And then if you live in housing, it would be any time you're returning back to campus if you've left campus. And it's just to make sure that you're cleared to come to campus. If it says that you're not cleared, we would say stay home if this pre-screening doesn't clear you. It does give you a number to call, which is case management, and we will talk to you. We will see if we're able to clear you, and if we're not, we'll give you recommendations to go about what you need to do in terms of that. We'd still encourage you to wear your masks, do the social distancing of staying 6 feet apart, washing your hands often. And then the big one is, as the president mentioned, the vaccine is out there. And so paying attention to the tiers and get the vaccine when you qualify. We are encouraging you to do that. If you are interested to know where the tiers are and when you might fall in the availability of it, you can go to myturn.ca.gov. And it will give you notice as to when you qualify to get the vaccine. And I'll make sure to put that in the chat as well. And then just going back to that screening, there's 3 ways to do the screening. And the easiest is through the mobile app, as you can see to the far of the slide here. This is what you would get if you use the mobile app. You're going to get a green, yes, I am cleared for campus, or a red X that I'm not cleared at this time. You can also do it from this COVID-19 alert page. There's a screening there as well. And if you're unable to do any of those, you can definitely call the health center during our office hours to be screened over the phone. And then the final thing we would ask is that if you are having concerns around COVID-19, whether that be you've had an exposure, you're having symptoms, you're unsure of what that means, you've been diagnosed with COVID, somebody in your household has been diagnosed with COVID, is that you contact case management. And we say that's 24 hours per day. So you can contact case management. That's my direct line on the slide there, and you will get me. You can also contact me at my email, which is edelmar@csub.edu. We have the Linktree link there, which is a reporting form that you can do, which again is obviously 24 hours. And if you don't have access to internet and it's after hours, you can always call University Police Department and they will contact case management and get somebody to reach out to you in terms of that. But that's really another big part is, and I always encourage you to do that because not only does it help us protect the campus, it allows us to provide you resources and give you questions and somebody that you can contact anytime to ask questions about COVID or concerns or what's going on. How do I go about getting cleared? What precautions do I need to take? So, and if you're students and you need any accommodations because you're sick or ill, it allows us to kind of give you recommendations and help you reach out to get those resources as well too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erica, and thank you, Dr. Wallace, to your team, Dr. Ziggy. Let's move forward to hear from our provost on Goal 2.
Thank you, President Zelezny, and I also want to thank all of the faculty and staff that have worked on the committee and have worked for the fall 21 planning, for which I'll see the department chairs to talk about tomorrow. Goal 2 that team has met over the course of the entire academic year. It's been extraordinarily productive. I'm only showing you a portion of the strategies in which we are addressing and the progress on those particular strategies. As you can see there, we are focused on ensuring a comprehensive orientation for faculty and staff. I want to thank Lori Blodorn for really contemplating how to proceed with this particular initiative. She's been an important part of the team in terms of looking for ways in which to create and harness technology in which to create an experience when we onboard individuals, both faculty and staff, to this institution in a novel way. So that's been an extraordinary effort there. Next, deploy on an annual basis the campus climate survey. Claudia will be speaking. I'll be handing it to Claudia in just a moment to talk about that. And the climate committee is such an important enterprise in our campus in terms of us movement to become an anti-racist organization, and she is leading the way in that. Third, there, in terms of the focus of Goal 2, creating a staff and faculty center for excellence. That has been a great cross-divisional team that's been led by some really sharp individuals on the team, and we recently met with the other vice presidents to talk about funding, and so the progress on that particular initiative has been grand. I do want to hand it off right now to Claudia to talk about the Great Colleges to Work survey.
Thank you, Dr. Harper. Under Goal 2, there are 2 initiatives that I am working on and collaborating with other folks. First is the Great Colleges to Workforce Survey. The survey dates are March 8th through the 22nd of this year. You'll be getting an email communication from me today with a little bit more detail about what the survey is about. Starting March 8th, the communication will be coming directly from Modern Think, which is the entity that is administering the survey. Why we are partnering with Modern Think is that this allows the survey to be confidential. We'll receive is a confidential report with no names attached to it. That was really important in terms of participation, was making sure that the survey results were anonymous. One important thing to mention is that the survey link that will be sent to you is unique to you. And so your login information will be unique to each faculty and staff member. So please do not forward it to others. I do encourage that you ask other colleagues within your respective departments or across the universities to participate in the survey. We really need a large pool to participate in order to get a true reflection of what our employees are thinking about on campus and their experience on the campus. The questions will include questions on demographics, benefits, diversity, shared governance. The results of the survey will be shared with the newly formed Campus Climate Committee, and this will help us inform and develop our diversity action plan that will get started, actually is now currently getting started. Next page, please. Closely aligned with the Campus Climate Survey is also our Campus Climate Committee. This is also listed under Goal 2 for advanced faculty and staff success. We had our first meeting on January 28th, and we'll continue to meet monthly. The members include faculty, staff, MPP, and students, and these members were selected by each of your respective groups. And I want to thank the participants for this, for engaging in this conversation. So, in terms of what we discussed in our first meeting, is we discussed the plan for developing our diversity action plan here at the university, which I'm very excited will be the first one that we've had. And it's really to complement our university strategic plan. This spring, we'll spend time reviewing the data, doing a self-assessment, and listening to what you all would like to hear from, or would like to see from us with our diversity action plan. In the fall, we'll start reviewing the campus survey results. We expect to get the campus survey results in May, at the end of May, so we'll take August and September to look at that data. We'll then develop goals and strategies, and this time will also include open forums. Again, we want to hear from you as to what you like to see in this diversity action plan. Another thing that we discussed during this initial meeting is the importance of campus feedback and engagement in the process. And so we'll mirror a lot of what we did when we developed our university strategic plan, and having an open forums and having you engage with us on this planning moving forward. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Harper.
Once again, so looking at Goal 3. Thank you. As with Goal 2, we have probably 12 or 13 specific strategies that we're working on. I'm just trying to focus on some ones that have had probably the most progress to this particular point, and I'll try to contextualize those the best as I can for all of you. You can see right there at the top, invest in tools to collect and summarize scholarly and creative activity. This is critical for a growing institution and an aspirational institution of our own. We are doing such remarkable scholarly work in terms of looking at ourselves and producing not just scholarship, but sponsored research. gives me opportunity to thank Dr. Brandon Pratt for his leadership of the review of grants and sponsored research activity. And what we're going to do with this particular initiative is in the next academic and fiscal year, we plan to acquire software that will collect and allow faculty to put in all of their activities and make those available, not just for accreditation purposes, but for our external partners that want to know, hey, what are we doing in aerospace? Hey, what are we doing in sculpture? Hey, what are we doing in health science? And to be able to provide that information, not just internally, but externally. So it's a very important initiative and that we've made a considerable amount of progress on. And I'm taking the steps to allocate resources to acquire that software. Next, you see creating the Staff Leadership Academy. As you all know, we have a very well-running Faculty Leadership Academy. It gives me the opportunity to thank Brian Street and all the faculty members that are participating at, and all the administrators that play a role in helping those individuals get ahead. And we want to make sure that we're creating an equivalent body for the staff. Again, Lori Blodorn has played a really, really important role in terms of developing that, and we've made a lot of progress there. Next, using curricular and co-curricular activities to address local challenges. About 2 weeks ago, I met with the Pandemic Research Group. That project is getting underway to study the impact of the pandemic on our students and our local communities. I've allocated $15,000 so we can begin calls and startup funds so that we can continue the research in that particular space. I want to thank all of the faculty and all of the administrators, observers that are participating in that particular activity. Next, collaboratively develop an academic strategy. I've been talking to the faculty regarding that. I expect a steering committee to be formed within the next 2 to 3 weeks or so, where we will begin to pick up the process that we began before the pandemic and do a very, very close inspection of our academic structure as we go forward and grow and continue to be able to serve the students of Kern County. And lastly, tracking workforce needs. This has been a recent development here for us in academic affairs. And Bakersfield 3K stands for, I want to read it correctly, A Better Bakersfield and Boundless Kern, which is a collaboration between many, many leaders within the Kern Valley. The president is a very, very important component of that, where we're getting information about how we can better serve Kern County in terms of our academic portfolio and better serve workforce needs. That is picking up steam, and we're doing tremendous work in that space. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Victor to talk about Goal 4.
Thanks so much, Vernon. And I'll touch on the B3K in just a second. So a nice lead in for us. But I too want to thank all of my committee members, and right now Goal 4 is being chaired by or co-chaired alongside me with Dr. Janine Craybill. Thank her especially for her efforts. As the president has always mentioned, the strategic plan isn't a static object. We have to continually work on this, and my team continues to meet regularly and discuss 3 of our sub-strategies there to achieve the goal, which is recognize and address regional needs in collaboration with our community. So you can see the 3 points there, but essentially we want to hear from our community, review and identify regional needs, collect data and assess CSUB's response, and then work together to systematically address those needs. And I'm going to talk to you in just a second about a couple of the next steps. So if we could look at the next slide, please. So data enrichment, which I mentioned, is something that we're always working on. Vernon is leading a significant effort in academic affairs, and we're partnering on that. Certainly, many of you have been helping us collect this data, and we want to get our hands around essentially where the university is in its interactions with the community, what we're doing across all of the metrics that influence all of these goals to help us achieve our strategic plan. One thing that we've placed particular emphasis on is mentorship, because we know that that will positively impact the success of our students. And you've heard about a Run an Alumni Mentor program, which we've implemented, and we have really increased the number of members on that platform. And forgive me if you hear kids screaming in the background. It's break time right now, and they're getting a snack, and they're yelling exactly what I told them, please don't yell. CSUB brand awareness, just getting out there in the community and showcasing the good things that are happening. That's always an emphasis for us. I'm going to turn it over to Ezra Hashem in just a second, and she's going to talk to you about several of the positive things that are happening in that area. But I hope, just as a consumer of the information that we're putting out, that you're seeing the enhancement in websites and advertising and social media presence and all of those interactions. And thanks, this isn't something University Advancement is doing on our own. Thanks to IT, thanks to everybody that's helping with that effort, our design team, and certainly the marketing communications team. Faculty and staff engagement, something we want to continue to press even in this virtual environment. Many of you are still continuing to be experts on radio and news outlets. You continue to be engaged with boards throughout the community. And CSUB has many advisory boards where we invite community members to serve and interact with us, which is, it's critical to one of the sub-strategies here, which is recognizing the community needs that we have and trying to address those. Vernon talked about B3K, which leads into the comprehensive campaign. As many of you know, we are in the quiet phase of our first ever comprehensive fundraising effort in the 50-year history of the university. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary all year long. And what we hope to do is make more of a public announcement at the capstone of this 50th anniversary year to talk about the campaign publicly, how much we've raised, and assess what our goal will be publicly at that point. We've still got a lot of work to do between now and then to figure out exactly where that goal fits, but we have gotten a lot of support from community members, individual donors, corporate philanthropists in support of initiatives to help student and faculty success that align really nicely with the strategic plan. And in just a couple of more weeks, I think we're going to have a great announcement in this partnership with B3K. So stay tuned for that. But let me turn it over to Ezra now to talk a little bit more about CSUB's marketing and communications efforts and some recognition that we've received recently that's really exciting. So Ezra Hashem is leading our marketing and communications team. With that, Ezra.
Thank you, Victor. So first, I wanted to start with a brand study that we actually conducted in summer 2020. So we invited 80 participants across campus in consultation with our university leadership. These were internal constituents, so faculty, staff, and students, as well as our external audience like alumni, donors, community members, and we really focused on their brand perceptions. The goal was to identify some themes that were representative of the university brand. And we're sharing those results with campus constituents, with our deans, with the brand study participants. We're using that data to develop new logos and a new visual identity for the university, as well as a comprehensive brand style guide. So brand guidelines, templates, things that'll make it easy for the campus community to have unified branded items on campus. And we'll seek feedback from campus constituents on our new visual identity along the way. In terms of social media for our past year and digital engagement, we've seen a 14% increase in our followers. So we're nearing 40,000 followers, and these are just across the main CSUB social media accounts. Nearly 125,000 engagements with main CSUB social media posts. So these are comments, likes, shares, and whatnot on our posts, and 3 million impressions across our platform. So these are people that are seeing our efforts on social media and our promotions on social media. And we're always happy if there is great news that we want to recognize about the community, about the campus community. We're always happy to post that on our social media platforms. And lastly, I wanted to discuss some first ever awards that we received as a university from the Council for Advancement and Support of Education, so the CASE Awards. This is an international organization dedicated to fundraising, marketing, educational advancement across all educational institutions. We received a gold in marketing improvement for our news website. So if you haven't checked that out, we launched it last spring. It's news.csub.edu. When you go to that site, you can subscribe to it and get updates of every news story that's posted. We also received a gold in marketing on a shoestring budget for our 50th anniversary campaign. So special thank you to our 50th anniversary committee for all of the help in marketing our 50th anniversary. We received a bronze in digital communications for the 50th anniversary website. So a huge thank to IT for their help with putting up that website. A bronze in advertisements for the ad placements that we put for the paid advertisements we did for the 50th anniversary. And a bronze in marketing improvement for our monthly CSUB newsletter, effective digital engagement. So we're really happy to put CSUB on the map with universities across the whole Western United States and get these awards for the first time in university history.
Huge congratulations. You really, really knocked it out of the ballpark on these CASE awards, and I'm really, really proud of CSUB. Let's go to Vice President Tom Davis on budget. Thanks very much, Ezra.
Thank you, President Zelezny. Thank you, Ezra. Great job, advancement team. Good morning, everybody. When we think about Goal 5, in particular, stewarding our campus resources, there's two primary focuses we've had most recently. Certainly, the California State University 2021-22 operating budget outlook. As the president mentioned, we will be having a budget forum on March 15th, so you may want to mark your calendar for that. We will be talking about what the current status is, what has happened with advocacy, what we're anticipating for 2020 or 21-22, and what that means in particular to CSUB. Many of you, of course, know, as the president mentioned, Chancellor Castro has gone on record that there will be no tuition increases. He's also gone on record to say that he does not support furloughs at this time, subject to the budget continuing to move forward as the CSU has been communicated to from the governor's office. So again, you want to mark your calendar for that. Secondly is the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. That has the acronym of HEERF. Of interesting note for you is that actually has two pieces. One you've heard about a lot called CARES. That is an acronym for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Congress then passed a supplemental act as part of the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. That is called the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, which is basically part 2 of the CARES Act. So a lot of acronyms that you'll hear about and see, but just know both pieces are part of the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. CSUB, we received $14.5 million in the CARES first round, and we received $22.9 million in the CARES second round for a total of $37.4 million. As the president indicated, our current plan is to disperse 50% of that out to our students in the form of student emergency assistant grants pursuant to the Department of Education. We also plan to contribute CSUB funds for those students who would not be eligible. So all students will be receiving and should be looking forward to receiving some relief within the next month. And with that, I will turn it over to Faust Gorham, who will provide you some updates on information technology as well as facilities.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you. I can't believe it's been almost a year since we went to our virtual, our virtual campus and stance. And I just want to thank the facilities and the information technology teams for all the hard work they've done over the last 12 months. So, one thing I want everyone to remember is that for our students, we still have hotspots and laptops available. So if any student needs access to this technology, something breaks, they move, they need internet access, there's a financial issue, please have them contact the service center or call the service center, and we will arrange to drop off that equipment. Already we have 480 hotspots, 260 laptops, and 190 Chromebooks out there with our students today. Lab A is open on the bottom floor of Walter Stern Library. So again, if a student has a conflict between a on-campus lab and then an immediate synchronous class or Zoom class, please have them know that there's a place that they can go Monday through Friday from right before 8 to right after 5. As most of you are aware or have already gone through the process, right, on February 15th, we will fully enforce two-step or our multi-factored authentication solution for everyone on campus except applicants, right? So applicants will still not be part of this, but everyone else will have to be there. We've done really well in trying to get everyone there, and we only have a few more people to go, and we're aggressively getting them enrolled and getting them used to using two-step. I'm going to jump to item 5 just so I can finish the ITS updates. One of the things we had to do was figure out how to do some of our business or a functional automation. So we call it digital transformation. And just to show you some information on Adobe Sign, right, that we've rolled out, nearly 10,000 documents have now been signed through Adobe Sign, by about 521 unique senders. So we are moving well into that ability to do most of our business functions through a digital format, which is great. Now jumping over to the other side, which is the facility side, I'm posting this for my colleague, Asif Patel, who runs capital planning. So Performing Arts is set to start their renovation in the summer of 2021. Right, we're just awaiting the final decisions on everything, and then we'll know when we're going to break ground. And so we will work and continue to work with Dean Frakes and Leora over in A&H about the faculty and staff that will be moving out, and then where we need to store the equipment. So we'll continue to do that, but I just wanted to provide that as an update on things that are changing on campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Faust. Let's go to Lori Blodorn in Human Resources. Thank you.
Thank you, President Zelezny. And I just want to start by saying thank you very much to the campus community for the warm welcome over the last 6 months since I assumed my role. I appreciate the warm welcome and the support of everyone here on campus. And thank you to Dr. Harper also for mentioning the work that my team has been engaged in terms of technology. And a lot of my updates really are around what we're doing with technology. Whether that's the common HR system, which has 2 components. One is our recruiting system, that's going to come first. And then there is the system-wide complete common HR system that will be in a future wave on. The CHRS recruiting is going to begin here in the next month or so. And the goal of that system is to provide some standardization across the system where possible, but also to really provide a paperless end-to-end recruiting process for our campus community, for a better experience for our applicants, and to support our staff who are engaged in recruitment efforts. Similarly, we are expanding some employee self-service in our PeopleSoft system with our direct deposit, which will eliminate paper in our direct deposit process. People will be able to go in and do that themselves, as well as do simple things like changing their address. There would no longer be a paper process for that. We are also transitioning to electronic I-9 process, which is the authorization to work that has to be completed upon an employee's hire. We're also working on some significant website updates and transitioning to the new website platform, really with the ultimate goal of ensuring that HR is as customer-friendly and user-friendly as we can be for people to obtain the really important information they need at all stages of their employment and engagement with CSUB. So we're both transitioning the content of the website and also the platform of our HR website, and I'm very excited about that process. We are also working on, as COVID hit last spring, we were unable to host our 2020 Employee Service Awards, and so we are working with the President's Office and others to prepare for a virtual combined 2020 and 2021 Service Award ceremony that will be later this spring. And so we are actively working on that. And then my last update really is around COVID leaves. We continue to work very closely with the EOC team and with Erica Delamar in our COVID case management. There has been an ending of some of the federal and CSU COVID-related leaves. So there's the possibility, if the new stimulus plan that President Biden has proposed passes, that there may be some extension of some of the COVID-related leaves, as well as the leaves allowing people to take additional time if their children's schools are closed. But right now, we're really working through on a very individualized basis because some of those options have gone away for us. So we continue to work with each individual employee based on their circumstances. So that's really our update for now.
Thanks so much, Lori. Very hardworking division and very appreciative of your leadership. And again, we're so happy to have you in the CSUB family. I'd like to go to a very hardworking leader, not only our chief of police, but also our chief leader regarding emergency management, Chief Williamson.
Thanks, President Zelezny. Good morning, everybody. As the president mentioned today, I'm here as the emergency manager, the incident commander, many other names, but there's a lot of other people that are part of the team. So I just wanted to initially review everything. I know that you've heard from some of my colleagues, Erica and Dr. Ziggy and such. We started these services last semester, case management that you heard about. We still have assessment teams ready to be activated. We have response teams ready to be activated. Safety and risk is taking care of face coverings and distancing and ventilation and all of those questions. Custodial teams are taking care of the sanitation. We have weekly athletic meetings with Dr. Ziggy and his team to make sure we're all on the same page. And we continue to do ongoing planning as we see things that we either anticipate or that we're surprised have changed. We try to anticipate what the impacts are for our campus and our community. I'm constantly in contact with public health because they've been great partners for us and they've been very supportive of where we're trying to go. So it's been a great partnership. And as you know, they're having some changes up there. And at the same time, they're in the middle of trying to provide vaccines for up to 5,000 people a day. So we continue to move forward. But two of the new areas that have been mentioned that we're trying to move forward on the next slide, please, is the, I don't think I can change it, but the testing. I sent it out yesterday. There it is. Thank you. We have testing starting next Tuesday. Thank to a lot of people, and primarily Ruby. We from Student Affairs has graciously, I would say volunteered, but was kind of asked and coerced, but she jumped at the chance to help, is kind of targeting, or is kind of our lead on that now. Mari Gonzalez from my department also helped, but we now have testing available to those people on or for those essential staff on campus. And we kind of loosely, at least initially, identified it as those essential staff on campus for more than 2 days a week, those students and faculty that have face-to-face classes, resident students in our housing, and we'll see how that goes because we're just trying this out. So we want to make sure we provide as much of tools that we can in a comprehensive fashion to keep everybody safe and healthy. And this is one of those steps. It's free. It's an antigen test. You'll have the results in about 15 to 20 minutes after you're tested. Total time we expect to be 30 minutes as you enter the door. It's by appointment only. You need to wear, a face covering and make sure you socially distance. It'll all be marked. The exciting part is that it's open. The website is open, and I understand it was working as of last night. So if you can take advantage of it, it's from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The last test, I think the last appointment's like at 5:30 because they close at 6. So that way everybody can be completed by 6 o'clock. And we are using a third-party provider. It's an off-campus business that is providing the test. There will be, some information there also, but please, we hope that the campus takes advantage of it. And if we have to expand, if there's a bigger need or desire, we've left it open for us to expand this with the contract that we have signed with the company. So we're going to try it. We're going to take appointments for the next 2 months, through the end of March. And we'll see how that goes with our hopes of at least covering until we come back from spring break, because that's important when everybody goes out that we give them the opportunity to test when you come back from spring break. And if the rollout of the vaccine, it's a comprehensive approach to everything. So that's our testing. And then we're also, as the president mentioned, vaccination site. And the next slide, please. Again, this one is, we are applying. We are in the process of putting the plans together to apply for state authorization to be appointed distribution. It's a very, very involved process, as the president mentioned. We have to wait till some training's completed next week. I believe it, yeah, next week. And then once we do that, we should be able to submit the application. Our intent is it'll be at the SRC. Thanks, Mary, for allowing us to use the SRC. It'll be by appointment only. If we get our hopes, the appointments will actually be online, and that would be really ideal. And then we would we have to be open to the public. That's part of the state requirements. But we also, our hopes is that we make it more convenient for our campus community, so people would feel more comfortable coming to CSUB to get vaccinated. Those that are inclined to do so. Certainly, we're promoting that as part of an overall plan to get everybody back on campus. But our idea is, if we provide it here, hopefully we'll get as many people as we can vaccinated. We're only going to be doing it on Fridays at this point, because that's when we don't have the biggest we don't have an impact on the rest of the campus, and we have some more available medical personnel to help us with that. As hard as we're trying, keep in mind that it's only going to be as good as much vaccine that we can get. As you know, the county is struggling right now. They're prepared to do over up to 5,000 a day, and I think they're just doing 400 a day right now because they can't get the vaccine. I just saw an article, and I read it all the time. I read way too much about the pandemic. Who would have ever thought that we would be spending a year dealing with a pandemic? But again, it is what it is, and we'll get through this. But Dr. Fauci is now saying by April we should have all the vaccine that we need. We'll wait and see, but that could be a great timing for us, because then we should be able to get as much vaccine as we need. So we're hoping to use as much of the CSUB staffing of our people as we can. And then we will, if we have to hire somebody or bring in some medical people or whatever, we'll be staffing phones. We're going to be putting all of this together independently of the county. The county does not have any resources to loan us, so CSUB is doing this on their own. And I think we've got some great people working on it. We must follow the tiers. So whatever the state and the county guidelines are, that's what we have to follow. I've already been asked, well, so-and-so county, they're allowing these people to do it. We understand that, but we have to follow ours. We can only do that. Otherwise, we could be sanctioned. And this is under our pharmacy license, and we will not risk the pharmacist license. That's too important to this campus in the big picture. So we cannot take chances on this, nor do we plan on taking any chances. We're going to have to just play it to the best we can. And as the president mentioned, it's a major undertaking for CSUB, but we're well on our way. We still have a lot of hurdles, but we have a great team. And I'll just close by thanking the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center team. These are old people from the campus, just like the rest of us, that took on the additional volunteered or voluntold to be part of the EOC team. And who would have ever thought that we'd be in a pandemic when they volunteered, especially a sustainable operation like this. But my hat's off to them. There's been about 24 of us that have been involved in this since February of last year, and my hat's off to it. But we'll get through this together. I'm still optimistic that we're going to see the end of this tunnel in the near future. And if CSUB can help, that's what our goal is, and to provide the resources to do it. So with that, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief, and fingers crossed on getting those additional vaccines, which will be absolutely essential. Let's go to Michael Lukens, who oversees legislative work that we are doing on top of everything else to run this amazing campus. Michael?
Thank you, President Zelezny. Good morning, everybody. I miss seeing everyone on campus, but I hope you're safe. The president mentioned that we were pleased with the governor's budget proposal, that we had a proposal that was a little better than we expected. So we started our advocacy. Actually, last fall, we were one of only 2 CSU campuses selected to do virtual campus visits with key budget and policy staff from the legislature. So we had a chance to talk specifically about CSU's needs, CSUB's needs in our programs. And we had a number of students, faculty, staff come in and make presentations, very well received. in the fall. Last week, we met with our local delegation to advocate for the CSU system. As you can see here, this is a screenshot of our team with Assemblymember Fong, and President Zelezny, Vice President Davis, and two of our amazing student women leaders, President Vanessa, Trustee Reynez, as you might know, the first CSUB student to serve on the CSU Board of Trustees. And we met with Senators Hurtado and Grove and Assembly Members Fong and Salas. And I will say without exception that they were very impressed with the powerful presentations by our student leaders, that they really made a compelling case for students, and particularly with graduation initiative efforts and basic needs and mental health. That the messages really resonated with our legislators. They were all very supportive, but we also realized that there are a lot of competing interests in the budget process. So we had good meetings with those folks as we went through. Generally, the CSU's ask falls into three buckets. The first bucket is restoration of cuts of about $299 million that we took a cut in the last budget cycle. We're asking to restore that. The second bucket would be graduation initiative efforts. That we've seen real progress in graduation initiative on our campus. That we're making steady progress and excellent progress toward our goals. But we really need the state to continue to support us with our efforts so we can keep that momentum going. And finally, the third bucket is $565 million for academic and infrastructure. And it seems like a lot of money, $565 million, but keep in mind that the system itself, there's $480 million in approved projects that can immediately proceed to design and/or construction if our budget request is granted. So lots of progress, lots of hope. We're very optimistic as we go through. The process itself, the budget hearings will be taking place over the next couple of months. Governor Newsom will take the latest revenue projections and announce his May revise. Obviously, sometime in May, generally that's mid-May, and the budget will be adopted in mid-June. And with that, I would like to turn it over to our amazing CSU trustee Reynez.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning to everybody on this open forum. My name is Krista Reynez, your 2020-2022 student trustee from Bakersfield. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning, and thank you to Dr. Z for letting me give some updates on the Board of Trustees. So first, I want to give an update on the federal agenda that we have voted on this past January in our plenary meeting. So first is highlighting to support and protect Dreamers, including by immediately restoring deferred action for childhood arrivals protection. And as I would like to reiterate that Biden has announced plans to continue DACA, and we're looking forward to welcoming more DACA students as well as continued support for our AB 540 students once Biden's plan hopefully passes. Secondly, we are looking forward to securing necessary federal relief and flexibilities for institutions and students in response to COVID-19. As Dr. Zelezny has mentioned, we'll be receiving round 2 of CARE 2.0 funding, and I'm excited that CSUB students will be receiving direct payments by the end of this month, as reported by Dr. Zelezny and the runner yesterday. Third, we have our third federal update, which is to invest in student success by significantly increasing the maximum Pell Grant and restoring the annual cost of living increases to the program. To give you a system-wide and state update, the University of California has recently launched a Double the Pell campaign in partnership with the UCSA, the student association there. And we have yet to see if the CSU will sign on to the same campaign, but there has been a system-wide discussion about that. I would also like to give one state update that I have not listed on the slide. Last January, we have voted to support a college mental health services program, which would be a bill to annually appropriate funding from the administrative fund of Prop 63 to the CSU, the CCCs, and the UC to hire more counselors and expand student mental health programs. So this bill has yet to be introduced, but I believe bills are due by the end of this month, sometime at the end of this month. So it's definitely on our radar, and we'll give more updates on that. As well as there will be no tuition increase. And if assumptions for state and federal support holds, the chancellor will not support a system-wide furlough program. And for clarification, this is for the current governor's proposal, if that passes. It's not dependent on the new additional funding that we're asking that Mike has mentioned. So that is very important. We are also still looking forward to reopening in fall 22. And which classes will be taught in person will depend on each campus and the status of their tier, as well as federal guidance as well. I would like to say thank you to CSUB's leadership and transparency, the constant email communications and open forums. I would like to also highlight the efforts of CSUB's professors who have been informing students of resources on campus, as well as been accommodating as we come into spring virtually. There's really a community effort here for student success. And I always highlight our professor and our administration stories and student stories when I come to the Board of Trustees. If you have any concerns or if you'd like to provide input on system-wide issues, my email and schedule will always remain open for the Bakersfield community. So go Runners.
What an awesome update. Thank you, Trustee Reynez. And thank you also for your great support of our entire system. I do want to give a clarification. Although we're moving as fast as we can to get the checks out to students for financial aid support, given our census date, which is later in the month, it is probably going to be closer to the middle of March before students will receive those checks. But we're going to get as close as we can to that end of the month. So forgive us. We have some of these challenges. The importance of census data is to make sure that we have every single student in our communication list so that they will receive financial support with that CARES 2 money. So thank you for your understanding on that slight revision. With that, I would like to open it up for questions, and thanks to our presenters for staying on time. So Faust, if you'll help me with the questions, please.
Absolutely. Marlene Hensley has a question. Please unmute, Marlene.
Hi, my question was about the Staff Leadership Academy. So for Provost Zorn, or Provost Harper, sorry. The Staff Leadership Academy and the staff orientation, the Center for Excellence. How were employees chosen to be on those committees and be involved with those? Because I didn't remember seeing a campus-wide call, or I just was curious to see how people were chosen to be involved with those.
Should I just jump in?
Please, Provost, thank you.
I'm sorry, I was just thinking about the Dr. Zorn comment. I got an email.
Sorry.
From her.
I apologize for that.
No, I was stuck on it. I was thinking about her. She's well. Regarding the population of the committee, they're populated from the individuals on these current strategic plan committee. So it was individuals, a subset of the strategic plan goal 2 committee that are currently, and goal 3 committee that are on those groups. But you raised an important point about getting broader participation, and I think that's something we should absolutely discuss at our next strategic plan meeting.
I appreciate that. I just didn't know, because I'm like, there wasn't a campus call to go, to ask for input, because as a 21-year employee, I've seen a lot of new employees come through and with no orientation, no campus orientation. It just has been dependent on whatever their department does or doesn't provide. And it's, it was frustrating. It's frustrating for most of my colleagues who have been there a shorter time than I have. Well, all of them have, but Elizabeth Powers is one that's been there as long as I have. And I mean, we had that issue, but even our employees or colleagues that have only worked on campus 4 or 5 years had the same issue. So that's why I was just wondering if, where the input is coming from, that it's, hopefully it's people that haven't just been on campus a few years, but some that have been on campus a little bit longer term.
Well, let me just step right in there and say we're going to make that happen.
Okay.
We'll make sure that there's more representation on the groups that are looking at this. It is individuals who have had a long term here at the institution. I also want to create a space for Lori to make any comment in this effort. We know that it's critical. It's what more important thing than we do than bring people into the family. So we know it's been an issue on a go forward basis. We're very, very focused on making sure that it's better. Lori's been an extraordinarily leader in that space, as well as the other individuals. And for the Staff Leadership Academy, I don't want that to get lost how important that is.
Definitely.
That we allocate resources. We know that, and we, as the VPs, we've got together and talked about that. We've talked about at different levels. So there's staff have different levels. We want to make sure that such an academy targets them in their specific spaces in terms of, and their different career arcs. So
good.
It's a great question. And Lori, if you want to say anything to that, you can jump right in there.
Sure. I'll just add one point, Dr. Harper. In the planning, specifically around the Staff Leadership Academy, which we're a little bit further along on at this stage than the orientation planning. But one of the very first things that we have been working on the Staff Leadership Academy and is a survey of what potential participants would be looking for in that kind of academy, what kind of content. And so that was one of the very first things that we have worked on to kind of gain that input from the campus community.
Okay, I appreciate that. My last comment would just be to ensure that there are opportunities available and through this leadership academy that include not just ASAs, but in the technical staff, because we, especially in the sciences, get overlooked for things all the time. People think technical staff and that's IT. Well, no, it's not just IT. There are technical staff in many other areas of campus also, and we get overlooked. So I do appreciate the efforts that that there will be a leadership academy and that you're working on an orientation for staff. So I do appreciate that.
Next question comes from Elaine Correa. She has a weak connection, so I'm just going to say it. Can you please ask Tom about how the other 50% of the HREF funding will be distributed? He mentioned 50% would be allocated to students. Thank you.
Sure, that's an excellent question. Basically, you can think about it in 5 priorities that we have. Number one is we are using some of our institutional money to support our students through the emergency assistant grants. We're not required to do 50% to the students, and so we're actually allocating some of our institution money to provide that amount of awarding to our students. Secondly, we're supporting those operations that have been the most greatly impacted by the pandemic in the form of lost revenues. And this would include things like housing, dining, the children's center, the parking fund. These funds basically have lost all of their funding. And so we're supporting our employees' salaries and benefits through that. Third, we are helping to support or keep afloat our reserves. As you know, we're using a little over $5.5 million of our reserves in the current year to manage our budget. We've been notified by the Department of Education that we can claim the lost revenues from the California State University, from the governor, as replenishment back of our reserves. So we're doing that to help mitigate the depletion of our reserves and hopefully sustain us into the future years. We also, of course, as a fourth item, we've been strongly focused in information technology, in particular supporting students and faculty in distance learning. We're also looking at dramatically improving our classrooms with distance learning technology, so there will be some spend associated there. And then lastly is what I would call all things COVID-19. This is everything from the testing sites that Marty just talked about that are becoming online, to the testing we've been doing in athletics, to the cleaning of the facilities we've been required to do. So anything that the campus community has been indicated is a COVID-19 related expense, while they're recording that in their operating budget, we are reviewing that. And to the extent there's no funding there to support that, we're looking at the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund to support that. So excellent question. And hopefully that provides you a little bit of a sense of what we're looking at.
Brian Milgaard, please unmute.
Hi, everybody. My question was just about eligibility for the new COVID relief funds, if credential-seeking students are also eligible for it.
Yes, all students who are enrolled will be receiving some emergency grant money, whether you are undergraduate, graduate credentialing program.
Okay, wonderful. Because I had seen on the last round that it was only for degree-seeking students, so I just wanted to clarify. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, so that is, most of our credentialing students are degree-seeking. So that would be, I would flip that over to Dwayne Cantrell if there's any nuance there that we need to clarify. I just want to make sure that I don't misrepresent or misspeak here. The Department of Education has a lot of moving parts with the technicalities of this. So Dwayne, if you could help clarify that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tom. A non-degree seeking student might be a student who's taking a class through extended education, extended university, that might just take one class for personal development. That's different from a student who's pursuing a degree certificate program, something like that.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying.
You're very welcome.
J.R. Perez, please unmute.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to talk to you all today. First, let me start off by saying thank you to my fellow staff members, campus faculty, campus administration for going above and beyond for supporting our students as well as each other. It's been a difficult year as we're coming on a full 1 calendar year as part of this pandemic. And hopefully the end is in sight. I want to give special kudos to our student trustee. Being student government shaped me to be the person I am today. So I want to send a lot of admiration and respect to her for an amazing job in representing all of our students across the 23 CSU campuses. The question I have is, similar to what Chief Williamson said, I, read a lot of stuff about the pandemic and what's going on. Unfortunately, since the holidays, the pandemic has affected my family a little bit. We've had over a dozen cases, and we had 2 family members that passed away due to COVID-19. And looking at where we're at currently right now, and it seems that, we do have a vaccine, and looks currently our cases are slowly starting to decline, but it's more imperative than ever we stay diligent to ensure this continues. And the question I have is, it seems that, hopefully we are able to get more vaccines available in April. But one of the concerns that for me I have is going back to campus with having some pre-existing conditions. Is there a possibility or is there a contingency plan that if we don't have enough vaccine distribution or if we're not having enough vaccination, that we may still continue to be social distancing and being at home through the summer and fall term? And if that is there a date where, let's say, for example, before students register for fall classes, that will be determined that we may have to stay fully online?
Thanks so much, JR. A lot of critical questions, and there is no discussion about dates. So, some of this will also have to be guidance from Kern Public Health, as well as from the CSU. I'm going to turn it over to Lori. You probably are the most aware of the details related to JR's question and what his options might be in others. Thanks so much, Lori.
Sure. Thank you, President Zelezny. First of all, JR, I'm so sorry for the way that COVID has impacted your family. And to everyone on the call, our entire campus community, this has been a long, long road. And it has affected all of us in a number of different ways. And so I want to remind our community that we do have an employee assistance program, for anyone who needs support during this process. So I do want to remind that. I will put that link in the chat so that everyone knows how to access those resources. JR, specific to your question, yes, we are, as I said earlier, continuing to work with individual employees in their very unique circumstances. We are also looking at, the potential of how we bring back staff, and do we bring back everyone at once? Do we keep some staff telecommuting? All of those things are part of the discussion. As of right now, we had a tentative, end of our telecommute environment being the end of the spring semester. That may get extended through the summer. We have not made those final decisions yet, but we will continue to be working with individual employees on their unique circumstances to ensure that everybody is safe.
Thank you, Lori. And JR, you're in my heart, and stay strong, my friend.
Thank you so much. And once again, just a lot of love, admiration, respect to everybody on campus and supporting one another during this difficult time.
Aaron Falk, please unmute.
Hi, Aaron. I saw you yesterday walking, and so glad you're joining us here today.
Thanks. I thought that was you when you drove past. I was asking about an actual link to find for the on-campus testing, although it was provided to me in the chat from Erica Delamar, which I very much appreciate.
Well, terrific. I'm glad you asked that question because I think that is one that many people will be interested in. Thanks so much, Aaron. And other questions, please.
John, please unmute.
Good morning. Thank you. I have a question that I've gotten from some coaches, but I also feel like it applies to the general student body, so I figured I would bring it up here. Do we have plans or expectations on allowing potential students on our campus in the near future for tours and visits?
Well, let's see. Dr. Wallace, can you guide me where tours and visits are and see if we can get an expert to speak on what our plans are?
That's actually outreach, Dr. Zelezny.
Thank you. Darius, are you with us? And if not, we will get that information to you. And I see Dr. Cantrell also. There's Darius. Thank you for helping us out here.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
We can.
Yes. Well, first and foremost, University Outreach is more than willing and happy to provide tours to anyone who comes on campus. We are going to wait for our leadership out of the Chancellor's office with regards to, our ability to open up our campus as soon as we are able to, given the COVID restrictions, we will do so. And as soon as I get the okay, I will make that announcement to all of our local high schools that they can begin to bring students on campus anytime they desire. It's just a quick call to my office, and we will provide those tours without a problem.
Thank you, Darius. And also, John, what might be helpful is we do thank you to our folks in University Advancement and Marketing and other collaborative projects with Darius. We have virtual tours that we have available for students and student athletes. We can take full advantage of those, and some of those are quite engaging from a virtual perspective. And when a prospective student or family does engage with that, Darius's team, and we have other outreach teams as well that can speak with folks as they're engaging in those virtual processes.
Jennifer G, please unmute. So Jennifer asked, is the emergency fund also for students who only receive loans through financial aid? Are students who don't receive any financial aid also qualified to receive the additional assistance?
Yes, I can answer that. So the awards will go to all students. The awarding matrix will be very similar to what we did in the spring of 20, and that is that students who have filled out financial aid information and have the highest need, expected family contributions of 0, would be receiving 1 award. Students who are high need at a certain pell threshold will receive another award, and then all students will receive a third award. So all students, whether or not you've applied for financial aid or not, will be receiving student emergency assistant grants. It's also important for you to understand that these grants do not in any way impact your financial aid ability, either in the current term or in future terms. The government's been very specific about this, that this is grant money to you that does not impact your financial aid eligibility, either in the current term or in future terms.
Tamar Anthony, please unmute.
Yes, I just wanted to piggyback off the tour process and situation. I'm a first-year seminar instructor, and I wanted us to keep in mind that the students that started during this pandemic may not be familiar with the campus when they come on back to campus, and we might want to consider some type of situation where we can tour the students that will be sophomores when they come on for fall.
Great idea, Tamar, as always. Thanks so much.
I think all the other questions that have been asked in chat have been answered through chat, President. So we are ready for new questions.
Very good. And if there are other questions, we will patiently wait for those to arise. While we wait, I do want to remind students we have time for a runner walk and talk next week, February 17th. That's a Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Students, this is your prioritized time. So again, we'll give you updates on where we are with in particular things of interest to you, and then also answer your questions. So look forward to hearing from our students. Are there other questions from our team? Well, we hope that you received updates today that are important to you, and I hope you're as inspired as I am by everything that we're doing as a collective here at CSUB, and we really are, again, making strong steps forward. And this is during a very challenging time. So I can say that I'm very, very proud that we continue to keep our attention on our strategic plan, because that's a commitment to bettering our university community and bettering the experience for our students. I want to take one last minute here to see if there might be any last questions. Well, hearing none, let me thank Ana Santos, who is responsible for making sure that we have a full agenda for you. And I want to thank her for her work behind the scenes on the PowerPoint. As always, Faust Gorham, our Chief Information Officer, always there standing by and making sure this is a professional time with you. And again, I want to personally say, please continue to stay strong. Please continue to stay safe, and please know that we do care. And we're here again to support one another as a CSUB family. I want to thank all of you for joining with us today. It's been a very productive hour and a half. We'll look forward to hearing more from students next week. And to our presenters, thank you. You did a great job. And Trustee Reynez, excellent. Thank you so much for all you do for the CSU. And with that, Faust, if there are no other questions, we'll give everyone the gift of time.
Okay. No other questions.
All right, everyone. Bye, everyone.